she looked at me one day and she's like, Mehgan, I'm gonna need you to stop fucking all our friends. We're gonna have no friends to go out with at night. I was like, girl, what you talking about? It's like, I just heard you just slept with so-and-so. How many more of our friends you gonna bang?
Hi, my name's Kay Anderson, and you are listening to Lost Spaces, the show that is all about lost queer spaces. Only it's not really about lost queer spaces. It's about the people that spent time there, drank there, and danced there, and dare I say, even fell in love there. Every week I talk to a different person and I find out what relationship they had with a particular queer space and how that helped to shape the person that they've become today. Okay, so first things first, if you didn't figure as much from that little introduction at the top of the episode, there is going to be quite a lot of conversation about the fine art of hoeing in this week's episode. And so if that's not your thing, that's cool. Come back next week. We'll try and keep it a bit PG then. But if that is your thing, let me tell you about whose adventures in hoeing we are finding out about. Well, it is Mehgan Sapphire from Sapphire's Earplay podcast, who joined me to talk about her lost space, the Lexington, a San Franciscan lesbian bar that she went to when she was just a little baby gay back in her college days. We talked about late night hookups, the road to polyamory, and, of course, the importance of good hygiene. It's very important. You know that already, though, don't you? Oh, and once you've listened to this conversation, make sure you also download this week's episode of Mehgan's show, Sapphire's Earplay, as we did a bit of a swapperoo, and I am the guest on her episode for this week. So, you want to hear more about me, right? Right? I said that in a self-deprecating way, but you do want to hear more about me. No? Okay. Anyway. Oh, and another thing. Did you know that I have a weekly newsletter called Queer Word? It's a fun 5-minute read that shares a queer word, tells you what it means, and then gives you a bit of history and some fun facts behind it. So recent issues have included cottaging, what's the difference between kiki and kai, and also words that were used before the word homosexual was even coined to describe homosexuals. I might have said homosexual too much in that sentence. Anyway, I will make sure to include the sign-up link in the show notes for this episode. And please do sign up. Issues are every Friday. Okay, I think that might be it in terms of updates. Why don't we get into the episode? So, how would you describe baby gay Mehgan?
Oh. Baby gay Mehgan Sapphire. Well, baby gay Mehgan definitely felt that she had to prove to people that she was desirable to other people. The way I approach sex, especially once I graduated from high school into college, because I lost my virginity in high school. I would say I lost both of my virginities twice in high school.
Oh, we do.
So
what?
I was,
Both of
yeah,
your virginities twice?
yes, virginity to a man, virginity to a woman.
Oh, but you didn't lose
So
them both
I
twice.
lost.
You lost your virginity twice, both. What?
Yeah. I should say I lost my virginity twice. If we're gonna go,
Okay.
the first time I had sex with a man versus the first time I had sex with a woman. That's what I mean.
Who was better?
Oh, that's a damn good question. Honestly, it was good all around on both ends.
Someone had to be better, though. Come on.
I will say, when I was with the guy, it was a little bit more uncomfortable because the fact that I lost it on a student trip to Italy and I was injured during the trip. And sex on a beach, on rocks, because the beaches of Italy are not like the beaches of Los Angeles where it's just strictly sand. There's rock, lots of
Ouch.
pebbles, lots of just obstacle courses that weren't necessarily sexy at the time.
And how were you injured?
I tripped over some like metal spike that was left over in the road, and it like popped up and sliced my kneecap open, and I had these stitches.
Okay, so you hobbled across the beach, had sex on some really
Yes,
difficult rocks that were like
terrain.
making it uncomfortable. And you say that that sex was kind
Yes.
of the same as having sex with a woman. It was just as good.
It was good because it was pleasurable and hurting, and maybe I like a little pain with pleasure. But of course, I wouldn't discover that until much later on in life. But then, sex with a woman was just a little bit more. It was kind of like what you see when two women get together for the first time. It's like you don't really know where fingers and mouth really goes, but then you start feeling something, and it's like, ooh, it feels good. It feels nice. The odd thing about it is that I was on a family camping trip before I was entering my first year into college. And so I was just graduated from high school. I was going on a family trip, and we were camping, half of us were in like a hotel staying on the lake. And I ended up meeting this girl in the family group, but she's not a cousin or anything.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, just to clarify, like family trip, but there were friends, not family, on this trip. Met the girl, we kicked it off, and we had a little moment to each other. I got the hotel room for the night while my cousins were out on the lake getting drunk and whatever. And we had a little moment where we eat ourselves in the hotel.
But so, okay, so the comfort of a hotel is equally as enjoyable as the disappointingly rough rocks of Italy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was like an older hotel. It overlooked the beach, the lake, and it was cute, but it wasn't like, oh, this is the ideal place I want to lose my virginity. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, if I was going to go camping, I would have rather lost it awkwardly in the tent and kind of like shushed myself from being heard from my family rather than exiling or sexiling my cousins from coming into the hotel room that we would later all share.
Oh.
And then, you know, it's smelling like young virgin, like young non-virgin women in the room. Oh my God, I'm going to look back at this and be like, what the fuck?
Okay, we've gone slightly off topic. So the baby
Yes.
gay Mehgan, you're saying, was really concerned with people finding you sexually desirable.
Yes. Yes. So all my years growing up, I grew up Catholic. I was literally the definition of a Catholic schoolgirl. I went to Catholic school all my life. So for 12 years, going to church almost 2 to 3 times a week, and always questioning my sexuality. Even then, I knew I was not just attracted to men, but I was equally attracted to women. But I never really acted on it until high school, where junior ring day, everybody found out. Junior ring day was where I got my ring as a junior.
What? Wait, okay. Just to quickly clarify, that just means you got a
Yes.
ring that signified you were a junior.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
Okay.
you know, graduation, but it's like, hey, you're about to be a senior next year, and you get your class ring as a junior. They make it a whole thing, and then afterwards,
Americans are so
a group of my
weird.
friends. We are. Catholic Americans, very weird, because I don't think any of my friends who were in public school, they're like, we don't have that, but at all. But yeah, call it what you will. Like, this is where people either got their rings or they got their varsity letterman's jacket junior year. It gets a
Oh,
big thing.
yeah.
Yeah, get out of school early, and we all just like celebrated the night. And our parents helped us, all like 12 of my friends and I, all get a limo, and we took it out to Hollywood, and we just drove around Hollywood. And in the limo ride, there was me, this girl I liked at the time, who I'm still very good friends with. And I think we were both at the time, like, we kind of just knew that we were questioning. So we would experiment with each other. But it was that night in particular, junior ring night, where we really experimented and we're making out with each other. And then this guy that I liked and she was also attracted to, we're sharing a three-way kiss. To the only point that didn't happen was actually sex in the limo with everybody watching. But by Monday, of course, being Catholic school, everybody knew that Mehgan and her two friends were getting it on in a limo. And some people were like, I could have sworn we saw fingering and could have sworn we saw this and that. And people were like, Mehgan? Mehgan? I'll never forget. And it's something I even like now even say if I ever have my high school reunion, because this is how lame my high school is. We have yet to have a high school reunion. And I've been graduated from high school for over 10 years at this point. I'm 35.
Yeah, but do you want a school reunion?
Honestly,
gross.
I only want a high school reunion just to kind of throw back in people's faces after all they know now is like, oh shit. So the girl who got straight A's, never really had sex in high school to people's knowledge, was in fact a certified closeted freak in high school. I was doing all the things that people thought I didn't. Like one girl in class one year even looked at me and she's like, I know I have sex better than you. And I'm like, oh, okay.
What?
Yeah. And even my fiance will probably listen to this later. And he's like, I can't believe you told him that story. Yeah, a girl looked at me in high school and just like, we're in science class and one day and she's like, I know I have sex better than you. And I'm like, thank you. I guess.
How could you test this though?
That's what I'm saying.
Did you challenge her and say, no, meet me after school in the back?
I think I just looked at her and I was like, okay, cool.
What a weird thing to say.
Very weird to say, especially when I think later on that day I almost got caught for having sex in the bathroom and got away with it just saying like I couldn't hold it anymore. And I asked one of the boys to look out for me as I was peeing in the bathroom.
Ooh, quick thinking.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it was just a lot of, I don't want to say trauma, but there was a lot that I had to shed. I didn't want to be seen as just the goody two shoes, the girl who was always on honor roll and in the school plays. Like I really wanted to be the hoe that I knew I was.
But why can't you be both?
I think it's kind of like what we all question in society. We can't have it all.
You could be the best little hoe, though.
Yeah. I was like, I can be a hoe and a good student too. Watch me, college. And I did. I flourished.
Well, and so you were saying that like at the time in school you were attracted to men, you were attracted to women. Mm-hmm. Was that difficult for you, or were you like, oh, I guess this is just my path?
It was difficult in the beginning because even as like I later did come out to my parents, I came out in the worst way possible. But I've always said I've come out so many times in my life to my parents where I think at this point it's just like, okay, until this girl says she's pregnant, I feel like we're just never going to be really shocked of anything. I think the most things that have ever shocked my parents was the fact that I even told them that I was engaged, that I want children, and the fact that I'm polyamorous. That, of course, shocked them all. Everything else, it was kind of like, all right, what is she going to do next? Kind of thing.
But okay, you can't just say, I came out to them in the worst way possible and then change the subject and go and talk about something else.
No.
So let's go back.
Oh, no.
To you coming out in the worst way possible. Tell me about that.
Coming out in the worst way possible. There's this thing in some Catholic schools called Kairos.
Okay.
And it's basically a senior trip. So before graduation, as a senior, you go on this trip, girls and boys, and separated by gender, and you go with some of your teachers and with all the students, and we went to this retreat, a beach retreat. I love the beach, by the way. I'm very stereotypical, like California girl. I love the water. I'm an Aries, Pisces, so it's like, I love the water. So I felt so vulnerable in this sacred place to just kind of come out with it all. And it was a 3-day retreat. You're with the girls. some of the girls, you're in a mixed group with girls that maybe you only talked to back in freshman year and you haven't, grown together. So it's the Catholic way of healing your trauma before you go out in the real world, if you want to call it that. And finding God and how is God going to help you? And I was like, God is not going to help me once I talk about what I needed to talk about. And I remember going on the retreat and just confessing everything to my parents after I got back. And I remember telling my mom and dad in tears, I'm not a virgin anymore. I lost it. And I even lied to them how I lost it because I didn't want to tell them, yeah, Mom and Dad, you helped me go on this well-earned trip to Europe that someone funded for me. And, I spent it in the best way possible with sex education firsthand. Souvenir I can never get back. And so I'm telling him I wasn't a virgin anymore. I told him I was bisexual. And my dumbass failed to forget that she was taking her SATs the next morning. And I'm an only child. I did not drive at the time. And my father had to be the one to take me to my SAT test. I'm an only child. Y'all put that together. Longest 7.5-minute car ride to my SATs of just pure silence. I think my father didn't talk to me for almost a month. And my mother, I don't think we really talked either. And I'm very, very close to my parents. Anybody who listens to my show knows how close I am.
So when you broke down then and you were crying, did they not comfort you? Were they just like, oh, this is a bit weird?
Your parents always never want to find out that you're not a virgin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would have left that detail out, yeah.
Yeah, they never shunned me. They didn't call me like a whore or anything like that. My mom, full transparency, my mom is now a retired nurse. And she worked in pediatrics at the time. So she would work with teens and babies. So the first thing she asked me was, I hope you used protection. My father was kind of just like, takes the long sigh of like, okay, well, my baby girl is not a baby girl anymore. But yes, I hope that you were safe. But it took some time for them to process. Like, I love the fact that my parents never in my upbringing ever shunned me when I questioned sex.
But the response that you've just given is around the fact that you had sex and not around the bisexuality. Was that just something that they didn't respond to, or?
The bisexuality thing was like, okay, it kind of makes sense because I do have an obsession with Janet Jackson, but it was also like, it wasn't just Janet Jackson's music I loved. I adored her body. I did look at certain women a certain way. And also, I think at the time, L Word was just starting, and my dad and I were watching it actively together up until I graduated from high school, because I think it was around the time that it had just started. And that was also my way of kind of telling Dad, like, hey, Daddy, the women on here, I'm attracted to them a lot.
And it's Shane all the way, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, they called me Shane in college. Put it that way.
So we're like 15 minutes in now, but if we go back to the first question, which was baby gay Mehgan, you've said that she was concerned about how people perceived her around like her sexuality. What other ways would you describe her?
Experimental. I'm one of those people that in order to learn, I have to experience things. Like, I have to essentially fall,
Okay.
I learn
Yeah.
from my mistakes. So for me, it's like, unless I don't try it, I'm not going to know I don't like it. And for me, I was always like on the impulse. And for me, it was, can I get this girl? Can I get this guy? Can I get both? How can I get into this situation?
So you were a player.
I was. I'm not going to like lie about it. I definitely just had no intentions of having a boyfriend, having a girlfriend. I just wanted to have bodies.
But was there also something really exciting about the chase?
Absolutely. It became such a game in college that some people know this. There was a tally thing in my room with my college roommate and I. And we would put tallies of how many bodies we had in our room. Sexual partners.
Was there a competition? Was there a competition here?
It wasn't a competition. It was just more of like, well, damn, how many did you bring home tonight? Oh, this. And it was our system. And that kind of inspired Sapphire's Earplay of what it became.
So in being a player then, in like being out there and playing the field, would your approach differ depending on gender?
I would say yes and no. I would say I was a little bit more aggressive with men than I was with women. And the women I did get in my bed, it was always unexpected and it always was most likely a friend. To the point where one of my friends had to sit down, and we always talk about this. And we look back on this, I'll never forget it. And I have to say it in her tone because she has this deep voice and I love her. But she looked at me one day and she's like, Mehgan, I'm gonna need you to stop fucking all our friends. We're gonna have no friends to go out with at night. I was like, girl, what you talking about? It's like, I just heard you just slept with so-and-so. How many more of our friends you gonna bang?
And when you slept with them, would you then ruin the friendship by doing that? Or?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
no,
no,
I just
okay.
enhanced the friendship. No, and that was the funny thing, because like I remember there were these two girls that I would always hang out with. And people already kind of like, oh, are they together? Because they're always hanging out and they're always spending the night at each other's houses. Like, what really goes on in the dorms, at night with Sapphire? And no, it was like none of these girls were my girlfriends, but everybody just kind of knew if they were a victim of my pussy. Like, I kid you not.
You could get merchandise with that written on it. I am a victim,
of my pussy. I hate to say it like that, but like, and call me conceited in the most worst way possible. But yeah, I was not thinking about relationships. I just wanted to get my degree, experience what everybody was talking about. College is the like land of just fucking mistakes and literally fucking mistakes. So many mistakes, but it made me who I am today. And now it's like, I'm a selective hoe now. I'm a selective hoe. I've been through it all. I know what I like and how I like it, but I'm a selective hoe
But you
now.
can still take risks every now and then, right?
Listen, I don't recommend half of the stories that some people go back from on Sapphire's Earplay. And did I put myself in some very questionable situations? Abso-fucking-lutely. Did I bring home people to my dorms and to my home? Abso-fucking-lutely. When I mean, and I love my dad when he coins this term, he calls lovingly he's a track coach. He does say sometimes to his fellow runners that we suffer from YDS, young, dumb, and stupid syndrome. We're young. We make dumb and stupid mistakes. Do we learn from it? Eventually. And I would say I had a lot of YDS moments. Very young, very dumb, stupid moments, but they were memorable moments.
But you're not in a hurry to have ODS moments.
What's ODS?
Oh, old, dumb and stupid.
Oh, fuck no. No, I think now I'm well aware of like, listen, young Mehgan would have done this. Old Mehgan is too tired for this. I am too old to wonder if this sex is going to be good. It's to the point where I could just tell by a person of how we vibe, not even in a sexual manner, if the sex is going to be actually good now.
Yeah, see, I just think that we become so risk averse when we get older. I think you need to just like make some mistakes.
Oh, I've made plenty of mistakes. I just can't do them anymore.
Okay.
I can't.
Oh, okay.
I can't.
Okay, well, I don't know why I'm trying to convince you to go out and fuck some like people you don't want to fuck, but here we are. Anyway, let's talk more about college. So, what do you remember about going out when you were in college?
Going out for me was very interesting because, again, it was very rare that I had a lot of queer friends in my group.
Because you slept with them all and then you were into friendships.
Slept with all the friends. But no, like it was very rare that we actually had like designated gay nights out versus like just going out. So in San Francisco, of course, you go to the Castro district and it's full-on gay male frenzies with a droplet of lesbian-centered bars. And then when we would go to lesbian-centered bars, it was like the wind-down spot. And one place in particular we would wind down at is at the Lexington. And the Lexington was, at the time, one of the only lesbian bars in San Francisco that was actually really true to its core patronage, which was all women.
And so when you're talking about wind down, that's like the end of the night, there's nowhere else open, let's go somewhere just so we can get a few more drinks in before we go home.
Yeah, it was kind of like, okay, we've danced the night away. Obviously, if we're in the Castro district, nobody's really looking at me unless you are a trans woman or a trans man or, you know, one of the girls that I may have stumbled across. So Lexington was also just our way to kind of like, all right, there's a nice pizza joint not too far away. We'll have a drink at the Lexington, get pizza, get a cab, go back to the dorms, and drunkenly fall asleep.
Well, and so there are assumptions that I'm making that you might have to correct me on. Last bar of the night, when you know it's like the last place that you're going to before you eventually go home. Sometimes, you don't know, there's a bit of desperation that sets in, or motivation, maybe that's a better word, to be like, right.
You mean like, did I
who wants to come home
line
with me?
somebody up?
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing would be this. I necessarily wouldn't take somebody home from bars. I would give them my number and be like, call me later and see if I'm up, kind of thing. I rarely was the friend who would dip out for whatever thrills the night.
Okay.
Because I did not like to go home by myself.
Like, go home by yourself, like after you hooked up with someone, then go home. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like I'd rather go back with my friends, let them know that I'm good, and then go and venture off.
Well, like in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Who can be bothered after you get home?
I'm a clean freak, so I'm very germophobic, so I have things about me where I'm like, if I knew that the bars were unsuccessful, that whoever I met at the bar or said I was going to meet up with them later is a bus, I had 5 or 6 others lined up to be like, okay, I'm going to text them, boom, go take a shower, go over to their place, maybe stay at their place, and do my thing. So there was a lot of times where I would go to the gay bars, make out with a bunch of women, didn't go home with them, and then go back home, shower, and then go and fuck a guy. And then come home the next day. And I was so notorious for having a lot of pairs of basketball shorts because I would steal basketball shorts from my hookups.
So you'd always like, I'm like, I don't care about the theft. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But you'd go home and wash and then go back out.
Abso-fucking-lutely, yes.
But they have showers at their places, I'm assuming. Like, so why would
I'm sorry, have you seen people's places sometimes? Sometimes you just want to bang and get the fuck out. Like, I'm sorry. There was no time to do, like, the bathroom test, as some people call it. Like, if I knew your bed was dirty, I would leave. I would fucking leave. Especially in my 20s, I would fucking leave. Like, once I started driving after college, oh my God, if you had a dirty ass house, I am not fucking you in your house. And that's when I, like, especially when I started getting my own place, that's when I was like, oh no, they're just gonna have to come over here. Because some people are so nasty.
Well, and so like when they came in, did you like cover them in disinfectant and stuff just to make sure?
Now when I think about it, I should have. I really should have, honestly. I remember this one guy, he came to my apartment and he asked to take a shower. And I was like, didn't you just come back from the gym? They got gym showers. The fuck? Unfortunately, he was homosexual, which means he did not live in a place that he wasn't having sex with that person. That's what we call hobosexual.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so he was just fucking for a place to lay his head.
But I mean, he did ask for a shower.
He did ask for a shower.
He could have just been like, let's have sex and here's my cheesy, smelly dick.
Yeah, no. We don't do the schmagma.
No. Well, okay, let's not talk about Play. Let's go back. Tell me more about the Lexington. What was it like? Imagine the first time you went in there and explain it to me.
So the first time, it was weird. It was like a movie moment. Here we are, we're turned up from the club before. We stumble literally into this place. There's maybe 10 women at most. You got the very butchy bartender, the bar back, behind the bar. And she's got a nice, like, raspy voice. And she's like, oh, I remember, when I was young. And you guys are on the last night. What are you drinking? What are you having? That kind of thing. Very stereotypical. And, to paint a picture of my friends, I was the only Black friend in this circle. There was one girl who was at the time closeted, lesbian. So, she came out to us, but to her family and everything, I still even believe now, she's not fully out, though she is fully partnered and everything. And the other 3 women that came with us always, they were very heterosexual, but, supported
Very heterosexual?
my friend and I.
Ugh.
Very. Strictly dickly, it's fine, it's cool. We're all just, a bunch of friends. But it was just nice to go out with them because we would make sure that the night, whenever we go out, is kind of catered to all of us. Like, we'd go to the Black clubs for me, we'd go to the lesbian bars, we'd go to the Latinx clubs all in one night, have a nice night or raunchy night or crazy night, and then suffer for it the next morning with a nice hangover. But like I said, when we would do the Lexington, it was just very chill. And I think that's like when we stumbled across it, we kind of knew like, okay, we don't have to have a good time in a loud place. We can come down at the bar and still get a little drunk and go back home and still have a good time. That's what the Lexington was about for us.
But and so what's it like then walking in when there's like 10 or so women there that presumably have been there all night drinking and you're this fresh meat?
It was weird because we had eyes looking at us. Like they just knew like we didn't belong. And of course, it's like you see a Black girl with 1 Latinx woman and 3 of her Filipino friends. So we literally stuck out like sore thumbs because I don't think there was any person of color at the bar. So we knew automatically, oh shit, this is not the regular spot.
But and I'm presuming as well there was an age element to people's responses to you.
Yes. Like I said, the weekends were kind of like later 20s, early 30s. I think the bar back, she was at least in her 40s, give or take. So it, very stereotypical white butchy bar. That's what you can call it, if you will.
But staying on this hoeing tip, were you just consistently a hoe? Or did you have cycles of like extreme hoism and then less hoism?
It was on point all the time.
Just always. Wow.
It was always. When I think about my years in college, I was grinding to be on radio because I was studying to be a broadcaster. And when I wasn't knees deep in radio work, I was knees deep in partying and fucking.
But you were never like, oh, it's getting a bit boring. I might have a week off.
It didn't start getting boring until maybe my late 20s when I was really exploring polyamory.
So polyamory bored you?
Polyamory did not bore me. Polyamory made me realize sex was no longer a sport, and sex to me is very sacred. It's very sacred energy exchange, and it helped me realize like I can have all the sex I love having with multiples, but also having it with a group of people that we can change the sex any way we want, the way I want it.
So how did you get into polyamory?
So I tried monogamy out of college. A friend of mine in college hooked me up with her ex, and what was supposed to just be a fuck ship turned into a full-blown toxic 1.5 year lesbian relationship. And after 2013, I went straight back into my hoism. Like, she broke up with me, did the whole, it's either you or me. And I was like, well, I'm going to choose my career, you crazy woman. Like, the fuck? Your pussy does not pay my bills. And you're in law school. The hell is wrong with you? Like, I would never say, it's law school or me. Like, go and do your best life. The next day she broke up with me. That night, I was doing a show. I slept with a porn star, a male porn star talent. And the next night after that, I had an orgy. And that's when I was like, I'm going back to my full-on whole rotation. And that kept going for almost 4 years until I met my now fiance on Tinder. It was a match. And like, we waited to have sex, actually. We had our first date. And we didn't kiss. We had a good conversation for over 2.5 hours, had a drink, hugged each other goodbye. He walked to my car, and I really wanted to take him home, but I didn't. And waited like the second date to have sex with him.
That's restraint, Mehgan, restraint.
It's so restrained. It was so restrained. I was so controlled. I waited till that second date to have the sex. And after that, it just became like a regular thing, but we were also seeing other people. And it was kind of like we found polyamory unexpectedly through my now girlfriend, who I had met her at a play party that he brought me to.
Okay.
And he was also already dating a married woman. And so based off of my girlfriend, I was like, maybe we should explore polyamory the way that my girlfriend and her boyfriend do it. Because I was like, well, we already kind of have that going on. Like, I don't mind you having sex with this person. You have sex with your married girlfriend, who I did date for a little bit, and then we broke up, and now we're one big kitchen table polyamorous couple where we're not sexually associated with each other, but we definitely have like a family dynamic, if you will. And that's kind of how polyamory came into the picture about 6 years ago, actually.
Okay. So I'm not sure if I kept up with all of that because there were too many people in the story.
It's a
So
it's a
sorry.
triangle.
But when do you go from saying, let's try polyamory, to saying, I am polyamorous?
I want to say 3 years after meeting my fiance, who was only my fuck partner then.
And you went into polyamory quite quickly after you started being fuck partners.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we had the discussion about like, maybe we should explore polyamory, we're already openly having sexual relationships with other people and with the same people. Why not make it that? And we kind of just jumped into it and created our dynamics, set our boundaries and our intentions, and it works for us. It truly does work for us.
And setting the boundaries and your expectations, did you have a formal meeting and did you take minutes?
Did we take minutes? No, but we definitely, we do what we call check-ins, and we do this often, where we check into our relationship. We don't wait until shit is bad to address things. So we make it very, we have it in our calendar. This is a check-in. So it's like bi-weekly we have check-ins to make sure everything is good.
Well, so how does that
moving
work
forward.
then? Like, if everything is good for both of you, do you just go, everything's good, okay, meeting adjourned?
No, we just have nights to ourselves and we just enjoy each other and we just talk. We talk about what we aspire, like what we've been enjoying. How are we feeling? Is there new energy that you want to bring into our dynamic or your own dynamic, because we're what we call solo polyamorous. So we don't necessarily have to date
Yeah.
together, you know.
Oh, because I would hate that.
I mean, I've grown to be more comfortable if my fiance wants to step out and do his own thing. During the pandemic, it was a little harder because, you know, I wanted to control everything just for safety reasons. And we do have partners who are compromised. So we have to just, you know, be mindful. So he's more of the hoe now in the relationship than I am. I have my limitations of who I want to play with and who I want to give my energy to because I'm content with the sexual relationships that I have.
And your hoe days are over.
Hoe days to a sense. I wouldn't say they're completely over. Hoe day to a sense. I'm just more picky.
And now that you identify as polyamorous, do you ever think you would go back to monogamy?
To monogamy? Fuck no. I honestly, when I look back on it, I was never a monogamous person, but I am not one to cheat. I am not one to deceit, cheat. Do I have, like, you know, when you asked me if I was a player, yeah, I was a player, but I was transparent. You know, I let it be known. Like, I never secretly fucked anybody. Have I been people's secrets? Absolutely. But I never not told people who I'm like with. I would always be transparent. Like, this is what it is. This is what I'm willing to give you. If you're not willing to be down with that, or this makes you uncomfortable, then we don't have to do this.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
It's tricky though. Sometimes you can be totally upfront and honest with people and they just hear what they want to hear.
Yup. Yup. And unfortunately, that becomes a thing for me because I also don't like it when people know that I'm polyamorous and use me as their kink dispenser. I'm not your experience. I don't like to be women's first time experience. I'm not that type of person. And I do get put in a lot of those situations where there are women who are attracted to me, but not fully attracted to be with women. They're just like, oh, it's just something about you. Like, I would love to have sex with you, but I'm also like, well, I'm not I have feelings too.
And it's so weird, isn't it? Because we live in such a heteronormative world that women feel like that's a compliment to say to you.
A backhanded compliment.
Yeah, it's not a compliment at all. It's just kind of gross.
It's kind of gross, and it kind of makes me question. Like, I actually had this conversation with my girlfriend not too long ago. And, you know, we both said it's just like when we go to some of these play parties together, we don't want to be the women's experience. Like, I understand that we make women feel comfortable in their sexuality and make them feel comfortable to be around us. But we can now see where it's, okay, you're doing this because your husband admitted he wants to see you with the woman versus you expressed to him, I'm feeling a woman. I would like to experience a woman. You know, there's that difference. And
also, like, who wants to have sex with someone who's got no experience in your body parts? Like, just like, no.
Yeah, I hate to be that person, but it's like, I don't want to teach.
Yeah.
I don't have time to teach.
Yeah.
Like, if I wanted to teach, I would be in that space. But I wouldn't go to a play party to teach somebody, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, like if you met someone and organically you both decided, yes, we want to like figure this out, we want to have sex, that's a different thing. But if you're like just fucking, if you've just met someone at a party or whatever and they're like, I want to have sex with you, but they don't know what they're doing, like, what's in that for me? No thanks.
Literally, I've been in a threesome where it was like that, where unfortunately the girl was like, I don't know what to do. And it completely took me out of the scene. Completely took me out.
Also, why would you admit that?
Yeah, admit it after. Don't do it during. And like, I had to actually even question her, like, well, what do you do to yourself? What do you like doing?
Yeah, well, you can't lick yourself out.
You can't lick yourself up, but you can rub yourself. But if you don't even know how to rub yourself,
Yeah.
then I can't really tell you to like go to the bathroom in the middle of this scene that we're having and go touch yourself,
Figure out where it's pleasurable, come back.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, I get off giving pleasure and receiving pleasure. I don't get off being a teacher, if that makes sense.
Unless that's the scene that you've agreed beforehand.
Yes, if that's the scene we agree to, so be it. But don't have me figuring out your anatomy and what you like if you don't know what you like. Tell me what you want.
Oh, people are weird.
That's going to turn me on.
They're so weird.
They are.
Anyway, but this didn't happen at any point in the Lexington, so we probably shouldn't be talking about it.
No, it never happened at the Lexington. In fact, like I said, I don't think I ever got picked up, even took home a girl from the Lexington. Ever. Did I have maybe moments? Probably. But I was also probably just exploring. I was finding myself. I was finding what I wanted. And a lot of the like sexcapades that I had were with a lot of men, even in the gay club experiences. It was like I'd go to a gay club and then I'd go home with a guy.
But not a gay guy.
But not a gay guy. Never a
Just
gay
so
guy.
we're clear.
Yeah, to make it clear. It was like I would go to the gay club, vibe with somebody, like a girl, maybe make out with her, didn't take her home. So then I'd call or have one of the very many guys be like, hey, are you up? Yeah, I'm up. What you doing? Okay, let's go fuck. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I've just never had this where I've got people on speed dial like that. It's just such a foreign, weird thing to me.
Dial a hoe.
So if you think about the Lexington then, if you think about this wind-down bar that you went to with your mates after a night of dancing, what do you think having access to that space taught you about yourself?
I think it taught me to just be more comfortable with people who were like myself. It was just nice to be in a bar with a bunch of women, no men. It was like men didn't exist. It was like going to Lesbos, the island of Lesbos, and there's no men to be seen in this space whatsoever. And it absolutely helped me cherish why I love and gravitate towards women.
If you loved hearing Mehgan's story, and why wouldn't you? I mean, it had it all. Love, sex, romance, getting home and having a shower, then why not follow her on social media and let her know? She is on Instagram at Ms. Radio Sapphire. Ms. It's MS Radio Sapphire. Straightforward, easy, but I will also make sure that that is included in the show notes for this episode, so you can click on something rather than remember it. Much easier. Also, whilst you're at it, why not follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, where my handle is Lost Spaces Pod. And finally, before I go, just another quick reminder about the Queer Word newsletter. If you want to sign up, issues are every Friday, and I would love to share my musings on different terms, their origins, and their appropriateness in today's landscape. Again, I will include the link in the show notes for this episode. Thank you for spending your day, afternoon, evening, morning with me, and I look forward to seeing you next week.